Hello and welcome back, my friends. Well, I'm pulling a bit of a late nighter out in the greenhouse this evening. It's only about 10 o'clock, but I'm getting some work done and actually enjoying every minute of it. And I was getting ready to perform a task that I do all the time in and around my garden, and I thought, you know what, I should just pick up the camera and share with you what I'm doing. So I'm getting ready to transplant some of these little seedlings here. This is a red curry squash, and I'm going to be up potting them into these 4-inch pots here. So here is the gardening tip that I suggest everybody give a try. It works wonders for your plants and also helps to build amazing soil throughout your garden. Pop this guy out. So as you can see, we've got some beautiful, amazing roots on this squash plant here. But before I just bury it in this potting mix, I'm going to dust the roots with a bit of mycorrhizal inoculant. And it really doesn't take much. But I'm going to dust directly on the roots and a little bit in the hole. And then we'll bring that plant right into its new home. This is one of the lowest cost investments that you can make in your garden that's going to provide the biggest return. Tease that little seedling out. Make sure not to damage the roots. So let me just read some of the information off the packaging, and I can verify that all of these things are factual. Number 1, promotes vigorous plant and root growth. Number 2, decreased amount of watering and fertilization. Number 3, enables the soil to retain nutrients for longer and increase nutrient use efficiency. Number 4, healthier and denser root systems. Number 5, improved ability to get nutrients and water uptake from soil. Number 6, reduces transplant shock. So I'm going to go over each and every one of those points as I continue to pot up my plants here. So let's start with that first claim, that this powder promotes vigorous plant root growth. So mycorrhizal inoculant is a fungi. This is the first stage before you get what's known as hyphae strands, which are little white thread-like strands that when massed together create something called mycelium. And here's an example of some mycelium that's growing in my mushroom fruiting bags. We're going for our second flush here on these bags. And you can see how the substrate in these fruiting blocks, which was originally some pelletized sawdust and pelletized soy husk, is completely engulfed with the mycelium. And here's my 5-gallon oyster mushroom bucket that was full of straw that I inoculated, and we're also going on our second flush here. Now the mushrooms that come out of the mycelium are the fruiting body. Okay, that's great and all, Dan, but why do you want that mushroom mycelium around the roots of your plants? Well, the mycelium is like the underground network if you were to compare it to the internet or to fiber optics. But it's like the network underground that connects all your plants. It's like an antenna for the roots of your plants. It allows your plant a further reach to uptake water, to uptake nutrients. And because it's able to uptake more food, more nutrition, it's going to create a natural, more vigorous root system. So that's the first point there. The second point on the bag was decreased amount of watering and fertilization. Well, we go back to the first point, which once again is creating those extenders, those antennas that connect to the roots of your plants. And that's why you need to water less and fertilize less, because again, your plants are able to reach out much further. Mycelium can run throughout a landscape for miles. So if it's connected to the roots of your plant, you could possibly be pulling up nutrients from a far ways away. So the third point was to enable the soil to retain nutrients for longer and increase nutrient use efficiency. So mycelium is one of the construction workers working along as part of the soil food web, helping to recondition the soil and create good soil tilth, a nice humus-like soil. It's a living thing that actually helps to break down the different organic materials in the soil, creating the best soil structure. And good soil structure, being the foundation of your plant growth, is going to allow your plant proper nutrient uptake. Okay, I've got one more plant here. This one's barely poking out. I'm going to leave that one for transplant a little later. So everything we already discussed brings us to the fourth talking point on the package, which is a healthier and denser root system. So if you've got good soil tilth, if you've got proper nutrition uptake, if you've got little antennas connecting to the roots of your plants, helping it to further extend out and take up water and nutrients, you're going to have that vigorous, dense root system, which is the key to having a healthy and abundant plant. All right, so I'm going to water these in really well. So what's going to happen is when it comes time to transplant from these 4-inch pots out to the garden, these little pots are going to be completely inoculated with the mycelium. You're going to have very dense roots and plenty of hyphae strands surrounding the root ball of the plant. And when we transplant that out into the garden, that mycelium is going to continue to run, and it's already connected to your plant's roots, and now it's going to run throughout your landscape and help that plant to obtain all the nutrients, all the moisture that it needs to be as healthy as can be. So you don't need to reapply this when you transplant from the pot to the garden, although you can. It's not going to hurt anything, and this stuff is affordable enough. It goes such a long ways. A bag like this is around $20 and will easily last someone like me who's doing hundreds and hundreds of plants a season or more. So we just covered that fifth point, improved ability to get nutrients and water from the soil. And the sixth thing is reduces transplant shock. So basically, when it comes time to transplant out into the garden, and you're starting with a very strong young plant with a vigorous root system connected with mycelium, you're going to greatly reduce the transplant shock. A couple other ways to make sure that your plant doesn't go into shock would be to transplant later in the evening. That way it can have a good 8 to 10 hours before the sun may hit it again. That's going to help it to settle in. Also, you may want to put a shade cloth over your plants for a day or two if it is in direct sunlight, just to allow it that adjustment period. Also, avoid transplanting on windy days, or if you know you got a cold snap coming in, and you're going to be good to go. One thing important to note, however, if you are going to use this technique, is that mycelium doesn't have a symbiotic relationship with plants in the 𝗙𝗃𝗿𝗁 family. That's going to be things like cabbage, kale, collards. So you're not going to gain any benefit putting the mycorrhizal inoculant on the roots of those plants. But just about everything else is going to benefit. Also, there's many different brands of this available on the market. I've had great results with the 𝗙𝗃𝗿𝗁, and there's another product I've used called Mycos. Those are the two that I could vouch for that I've had good results with. And if you're interested, check the links below for more information. So there you have it, my friends. Another quick and easy, low-cost solution. I'm just going to place these on my little cafeteria food tray. I bought a bunch of these in bulk to put all my 4-inch pots on, which is working out beautifully. It does a great job for water catchment, and the lip of this tray is actually large enough to where I could add water if I want my plants to uptake water from the drainage holes. But it just makes it easy to move around entire flats of plants on and off my grow light shelves and into the garden. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I still got some more seeding to do. I'm going to be seeding at least one flat of this lupine flower. Lupines are absolutely beautiful. It's a spike, colorful flower. It's a nitrogen fixer. So it's a great flower to mix throughout your garden or food forest design, because not only are you getting the beauty and helping to provide food for the bees, the butterflies, but you're also getting that nitrogen fixation. The plant feeds itself, and any surrounding plants that are in the area will benefit. So with that, I want to thank you all for watching. Have yourself a great rest of the night. Until next time, this is Dan from plantabundance.com. Take care. I'll be talking to you again soon.